Hey guys, we are being asked to complete the square. So if you get a problem like this, you're being asked to solve for x. There's a few different ways you can do it. And in this example, we're going to complete the square. Okay. So what we do first when we are completing the square is we want to isolate our variables. We want these guys alone, which basically just means I need to get rid of this plus 10. Okay. So I'm going to subtract 10 from this side because then it goes away. But if I subtract from that side, I got to subtract from this side as well, right? To keep my equation balanced. So those go away. On this side, I'm left with x squared plus 12x equals -1 minus 10 gives me -11. Okay, now my whole goal in completing the square is I want something that looks like this, okay? The numbers are going to be different. It's not necessarily going to be a 2 and a 10, but I want parentheses squared equal to something, okay? So I want this to factor to parentheses squared with a different number here probably, okay? So what I need to do is figure out what number I can add to this so that it factors as a parentheses squared, okay? So somebody smarter than me figured out how to find that number, okay? What you do is you take b, divide it by 2, and square it. Now you're like, where? There's no b's. What are you talking about, b? Okay, where I'm getting b from is from the beginning. What if we had added 1 to both sides? Then it would look just like this, right? With numbers where the letters are. So the number in front of x is my b, okay? So in this case, b is 12. Okay, so we're going to take 12, divide it by 2, and square it. Okay, so 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. We're still squaring that. 6 squared gives me 36. Okay, so I'm going to add 36 here. Oh, look, it's Christmas colors. Cute. But just like up here, if I add to this side, I got to also add it to this side. Okay. All right, so now watch what happens when we do this, okay? So it's going to be x squared plus 12x plus 36 equals -11 plus 36 gives me a positive 25, okay? My next step is to factor this side. Now you could go ahead and factor like normal where you do 36 times 1, what two numbers multiply to 36 and add to 12. You can do it like that. Or because I am completing the square and I did this b over 2 squared, I know that this is going to factor down to x plus 6 times x plus 6, okay? Again, if you forget completing the square means we're doing that, you can go ahead and factor like normal and then see, oh, it's x plus 6 times x plus 6. So when it's the same, I can write it as x plus 6 squared, right? Those mean the same thing. And we're still equal to 25. Okay, guys, we are so close to getting x alone, which is our whole goal here, right? So to get rid of the squared, I'm going to take the square root of this side. If I take it to this side, I got to take it to this side, right? So then those cancel and I end up with x plus 6 on this side equals the square root of 25 is 5, right? But also whenever I introduce, anyone, not just me, whenever we introduce the square root into a math problem, we need to remember our plus or minus sign. So the square root of 25, I'm going to write as plus or minus 5. Why is that? Because 5 times 5 is 25, and -5 times -5 is also 25. So we need to account for both of those answers, okay? All right, so I have x plus 6 equals plus or minus 5. So what do I do from here, right? What I do is I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, right? Because I want to get x alone. So then I end up with x equals, I'm going to write -6 plus or minus 5. Okay, but that's not a very pretty answer, right? I don't necessarily want to leave it like that. So I'm going to split it off into 2. Okay, so then I'm going to do the plus on this side. X equals -6 plus 5. And on this side, we're going to do the negative. X equals -6 minus 5. Okay. All right, so then we're just adding and subtracting, right? So we've got x equals -6 plus 5. That's like, I owe you $6. I'm like, I don't have it all, but I have $5. And you say, okay, you still owe me $1. X equals -1. And x equals -6 minus 5. That's, I owe you $6. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to borrow $5 more. And you say, okay, you owe me 11, -11. Okay. All right. So those are my answers. X equals -1 and x equals -11. Both of those answers will work for this equation if you plug it in. Okay. Now, that is how you complete the square. That being said, oftentimes when you will need to use this is when your equation doesn't factor in a nice way. Okay. If from the beginning we had added 1 to both sides up here, we could have factored it and figured it out that way. But I wanted to show you completing the square when it's pretty numbers, okay? But a lot of times, most of the time probably, when you use completing the square, it's not going to be pretty numbers. I'm sorry to tell you that. I will link a video in the corner where it's not pretty numbers. Sometimes you end up with like plus or minus a square root, but guess what? You can do it. Anyway, hopefully this made sense. And good luck. Bye.